Week 2 of the college football season is here, and I am here with this 6-pick flex that I did just lock in, that I did just send over to my VIP members. Going to be breaking it down, explaining exactly why I like these plays, guys. And before I do, if you're new to the channel, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. If you're looking to get access to every single one of my plays as soon as I place them, such as this one, you can go ahead and join the VIP. I'm giving out actual plays that I'm playing for free on the channel, breaking down what goes into the process so you can get a little sneak peek, know that I know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't tuned into the NFL content so far, guys, that opening night Thursday Night Football absolutely crushed the picks. Had a bunch of members cashing in. We had the Mahomes completions promo, and every single other prop that I promoted outside of Mahomes hit. The Watson over receiving yards, Rice over fantasy points, Tucker over kicking points, likely over receiving yards. 5 into $100 here for BMW. Trey De La Coste cashed in 50 into 500 here in the winner's circle. We had Kenshiro Powell once again with those same options. I had posted a video, share all these plays for free, broke down the process, and I'm going to continue to do so, right? But just keep in mind, this is one ticket, all right? So if you want access to all of my tickets, as soon as I place them, and these lines are going to change like crazy. So I just want to make that known. Chris, 10 into 300. Shout out to you, my friends. So it's good to have football back. I'm going to be breaking down exactly why I like these college football plays, but we got NFL, college football, esports, everything going on over in the VIP, and I am offering a discount right now. If you're listening to this content, you're enjoying it, you're like, this guy knows what he's talking about, you can get 20% off. If you go to my premium content, my Patreon, linked below in the description and in the comments, you're going to see it's $49.99 a month typically. If you want to just hop in and not have any interruptions, I'd recommend that option, but you do get 1 month, 20% off if you use the code NFL for week 1 at checkout with this link, the buy now link, and the featured product. Don't go to this one, go to this one, buy now, use the code NFL, and you will get 20% off over there. If you're interested, we're looking to keep it going here. Let's keep hitting these picks, and let's break it down. So the first play that we're going to be talking about is the Ollie Gordon over 23.5 fantasy score. This guy is an absolute animal, man. I continue to have him projected over like every single week. Last year was a guy I was very high on. This is a tool I'm going to be using to find a lot of my plays. If you're not familiar, guys, it is Outlier. You can get a nice deal, a 7-day free trial with my link down below in the description to take advantage of that, because this tool is going to help you with a bunch of different data sets to be researching your props, as I'm going to discuss right now. The first thing I want to address is this guy's a massive favorite to score a touchdown. So obviously, when you get those fantasy points for touchdowns, we want him to be getting in the end zone. This is what you're looking at. 5 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 1 touchdown. Has exceeded the touchdown in 9 of his last 11 games. So that's going to be a nice quick 6 fantasy points for us, right? Obviously, with the fantasy scoring format, we're going to need more from him than just those touchdowns, but he has exceeded 23.5 fantasy in 5 straight games, putting up 41.3 fantasy points per game. It is ridiculous, the volume that this guy gets, man. I've got him projected to crush this fantasy score. I've got him getting into the 30s. So we'll just get that out of the way right now. Like, I think he's massively underpriced. He's going to be my favorite prop on the entire board for this college football weekend by a mile. I'm going to like all these props we're going to discuss here, but Ollie Gordon, man, just absolute animal. You look at the usage for him, you can see 27 attempts, 104 yards on the ground. He had 4 receptions for 42 yards. He got in the end zone twice on the ground, and he got in the end zone once through the air with the receiving as well in week 1. So this is a guy I had projected over a ton last year. I continue to have him projected over in this one. When we're looking at this game script, right, we do want, ideally, if we're targeting a running back, we want his team to be favored, so he's going to get a lot of carries. We are looking at a 63 over-under in this game, and it is a 7.5-point spread in favor of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So 63 over-under is a really solid total, with them being 7.5 favorites are expected to put up some points, and it's going to be coming on the back of Ollie Gordon. When they get up in the game, there should be more rushing attempts for him rather than having to play behind where we have to throw the ball. And then, as we had mentioned, Ollie Gordon's involved in the pass game as well. 4 receptions, so you get a fantasy point for every single one of those receptions in the Prizepicks fantasy scoring format. It is PPR format. You get the 4 points for the passing touchdowns. You get the 1 point for the receptions, the 6 points for the receiving touchdowns, the 2 points for the conversion. Pretty standard PPR stuff if you're someone that plays fantasy football. -1 for those interceptions. He's a running back. We don't have to worry about that, but that's the scoring format, how it breaks down. So yeah, Ollie Gordon going to be play number 1. Absolutely love the play for sure to start things off here. Play number 2, we can go ahead and analyze here. It's going to be DJ Giddens over 92.5 rushing yards. Now, this is a play that was popping pretty big on the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. You can play $5 and get $50 instantly on Prizepicks if you haven't figured that out, by the way, with my promo code KJKDFS. But let's go ahead and pull up the DGF Optimizer here for you guys because we are getting some really good value on this DJ Giddens prop. If you're not familiar with this tool, you can use the link down below in the description or the code KJKDFS. I'd recommend the link for everything down below in the comments in the description to get you all these nice promos that I'm talking about. You can see DJ Giddens across the entire market is priced all the way up to 95.5 rushing yards, 98.5, 98.5, 98.5, 95.5, 95.5. Prizepicks giving us a nice 92.5 discount. I guarantee this play is going to be bumped. So this will be a good example of a prop that if you were my VIP, you would have captured some really good value that you're not going to be able to get by the time you watch this on Saturday before kickoff. And it's just how it works. All right, we're looking at a 53.85% chance that this prop is going to hit. And it's simply mispriced on Prizepicks. Not to mention this guy's an absolute animal. So that's obviously going to certainly make us happy. Go ahead and break down some statistics here for his hit rate on this prop, etc. Let's go ahead and type in Mr. DJ Giddens. Implied probability over 17.5 rushing attempts. He's heavily favored. He's expected to get a ton of volume here. The over 16.5 fantasy score has been hitting at a consistent rate. That's another prop that you could be looking at that I was looking at for full transparency, but there's more edge in the rushing yards, so I prefer that by a pretty wide margin here. And specifically at the Prizepicks number. I mean, look, we're getting him at 98.5 in most markets, right? The alt lines, 92.5. I mean, it's a steal. That's what we're getting. And if we look at his hit rate, I mean, he's exceeded 98.5 rushing yards in 5 straight games. He's putting up 121.2 average rushing yards per game. So not only are we getting a discount, but we're talking about a guy that's been hitting consistently at a prop that's even higher, and he's set higher across the entire market as discussed. Like, he shouldn't be at 92.5. He should be up in the upper 90s like he is everywhere else. Underdog, Bet365, Caesars, like all of these different places, right, listing him at a much different line, over 96.5 in some places. At DraftKings, it's even money at that 96.5. If we go ahead and change it to, you know, the 95.5, we're going to see he's at 114 on FanDuel. If we change it to the we did 96, right? 92 is what we're getting. 98.5, you're going to see him listed, Caesars, Underdog, etc. So you get the point. I mean, it's a combination of the discount that we're getting, this guy's ability to rush, and really just the deal we're getting. We're talking about a line that has climbed all the way up to 98.5, starting at like 95. So the fact that we're able to get 92, yes, please. He's getting a ton of the rush share. Everything's kind of lining up here, you know. Rushing attempts, he's averaging a ton, you know, 22.2 rushing attempts per game. 55% of the offense's plays are rushing plays. He's exceeded it in 5 straight games, as discussed. And then when we're looking at the run rate, they're running 54% of the time as compared to passing only 46% of the time, right? These are all good things for DJ Giddens. And then lastly, the game script. Once again, we would prefer that his team is favored in this game because we want him to be running the ball as much as possible. And you can't see because we have 1,000 games pulled up here. But on this left side, it's a 47 over-under, 9.5 point spread in favor of the Kansas State Wildcats. So Kansas State is a nice favorite here, which makes us happy, right? 9 favorite here. More runs for DJ Giddens, more opportunity to rack up those yards when his team is leading the game, okay? For play number 2, love that. Love the value we're getting at the 92.5 line. Like I said, there's a very high probability that's going to get bumped up by the time you lock in this video, but I'm just explaining the process. We're getting some nice discounts. Desmond Reed going to be our next guy. We like the over 19.5 here for him. all of these guys that we're taking the over fantasy score for on the ground are heavily favored to score a touchdown here. So we talked about that Prizepicks fantasy scoring format, right? I mean, we're looking at minus 215 on DraftKings, minus 250 on Caesars, minus 315 for this guy to get in the end zone and Desmond Reed, minus 137 on Prizepicks is their standard juice, but in a 6-pick flex, we're actually getting a nice minus 119. This guy, once again, on a team, you expect to get a ton of volume. We can go ahead and certainly look at his game logs here for Mr. Desmond Reed. And you're going to see, once again, a ton of volume, involvement in the pass game. You saw 14 attempts, 145 yards on the ground with a 46-yard long run for him. But he had that touchdown, 3 receptions through the air for 11 yards. Didn't quite break out, but if he's going to be targeted in the air and get in the end zone, the PPR fantasy scoring format, got to feel really good about him being able to clear this 19.5 line. And that's all factored into my projections. I got all these guys projected over, obviously, or else I wouldn't be taking the over. I've got him getting up into the upper 20s. I mean, I got this guy getting 27 fantasy points. I talked about Ollie Gordon. I got him projected to get 30 plus, right? So Desmond Reed, involved in the pass game. His team's favorited. He's heavily favorited to get in the end zone. All of these guys that we're targeting are all going to be really good for his fantasy score, and it's all factored into my projections. I've got it projected over here. So, I mean, all these top props for him, are going to be looking really good. We can go ahead and pull up and analyze this fantasy score. He's only played 1 game in 2024, put up 30.6 fantasy points. So I do have him projected to go out there and put up in the upper 20s. He's not going to need to even get you 30 to clear this prop here. He's only set at 19.5. And this is that Pittsburgh-Cincy game. So, once again, we would prefer for his team to be favored. If we look at the line for Pittsburgh-Cincy, we're looking at a +2 spread. His team's, not quite favored, but it's pretty much even across the board with a 63 over-under for this Pittsburgh game. So that's quite a bit of points, and he should be able to get in that end zone, if not once, twice, right? What we're hoping for with the fantasy score. We want those touchdowns, catches, PPR format, rushing yards, receiving yards. But the touchdowns are the big ones, right? We get 6 points for every one of those. So the fact that he's a heavy favorite to get in the end zone certainly makes us happy. Devin Neal will be our next guy. I love the fantasy score for him, 15.5. It's going to be the same thing. If we go ahead and we type him in here, an outlier, he's going to be heavily favored to get in the end zone. His top implied probability prop on the entire outlier platform is going to be with a 67% hit rate, over 0.5 touchdowns. Heavily favored, DraftKings -205, FanDuel -210, Caesars -225, Underdog -256. He's exceeded the 0.5 touchdowns in 7 straight games. You can see 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 2, 2, 1. We really want him to get those 2 or more. And if we analyze his fantasy score, you see all of his top props over 17.5 rushing attempts. He's favored. The over 15.5 on Prizepicks. He's exceeded 15.5 in 6 of his last 7 games, averaging 22.4. And I've got him projected to go out there and do it again here tonight, or in this game tomorrow night, I should say, at the time of recording this. I have got Mr. Devin Neal projected for a nice 25 fantasy points, essentially. So, I mean, he's too low. 15. These guys, some of these guys, I mean, I've got these guys going way over, man. All things considered, Ollie 7 more than what he's projected. Reed 7 more than he's projected. Reed 7 more than he's projected. Pretty much pushing 9 more, 8 or 9 more. They're all heavily favored to get in the end zone, as we discuss. Neal's going to be involved in the pass game as well. Well, actually, you know what? He was the one guy. Let me correct myself. That wasn't involved in the pass game. I wanted to kind of touch on, but the attempts are there, the upside's there on the ground, and the touchdown upside is massive, is what I'm talking about, and his price is lower. So he's only at 15.5 here compared to the 19.5 and the 23.5 that we discussed. His lack of involvement in the pass game is a thing, but he's got that touchdown upside, that running upside. This is what I wanted to touch on for him as the last fantasy score guy. And then the last two legs are going to be Blake Shapen and Kevin Coleman. We got the Mississippi State game. We're going to stack up the QB and the wide receiver one. Really like this. So we're looking at some good value on both of these, and we're getting some positive correlation without a payout shift, which makes me happy on this ticket. 2x if we get 5 out of 6 correct. Nice 25x if we get 6 out of 6, and then the 0.4 if we get 4 out of 6. That's what we want. That's the standard payout. Both these guys looking at some good value. Let's go ahead and pull up the DGF optimizer for Mr. Blake Shapen. Type him in here, see what we're looking at here across the market, and do some market analysis. You can see he's favored to go over 219.5, minus 137 on Caesars. Unfortunately, we're getting him at 221, but he is all the way up to 226 on Underdog and 226 on Flip. So we're actually getting a better line than those two platforms. And as I had stated, I do like the fact that we're stacking him up here with his fellow wide receiver one in Kevin Coleman, who is also heavily favored to go over his receiving yards. And we're getting a discount on him, which makes me happy, right? So the over 39.5, he's actually favored to go over 40.5 on Caesars with minus 135 juice on his over an entire yard more. They're still favoring it, and he's all the way up to 41.5 on Underdog and Flip. And then we can go ahead and do some data analysis on Outlier for these two props. And you're going to see the hit rate, all the statistics matching up in a big way for us here for Mr. Blake Shapen. Top implied probability is going to be the over 219.5 passing yards. He's actually cleared 226.5 passing yards in 7 of his last 8 games, averaging 266.5 passing yards per game, 88% hit rate at 226.5, right? Keep in mind, I'm getting 221.5, so that makes me happy here for Mr. Blake Shapen. And the target share here throughout his entire team, who is he going to be looking at here through the air? Well, we discussed the guy we wanted to be looking at. That's going to be Kevin Coleman, who, when we break down his stats here, we're going to see new role, right? New year. Books are all factoring this in. You can see he's failed to exceed this in 12 of his last 14 games, but he wasn't the wideout one in those. If we go to 2024, he had 88. All right. 88 yards to kick things off. Looked really good. Not sure why this data is pulling in. 2023, much different. Much different role. Last 10, last 5, 88. I have the under selected. That's what's going on here. I want the over. There we go. I want the over here. You're going to see nice and green. He put up 88 in week 1. Let's go ahead and break down the odds. 135 on Caesars. You can see all this fun stuff. And ASU ranks 122nd in the nation for receiving yards given up. So they're giving up a lot of those receiving yards. That's going to make us happy here for when it comes to Mr. Coleman. That is Outlier. The link will be down below in the description for a free trial if you're interested in that. That's my full 6-pick flex. We talked about Daily Grind Fantasy as well. If you're interested in either of these tools, I'll have those linked below in the description. If you haven't signed up for Prizepicks, you can get a nice deal as well. We got all these different promos going on with football being back. Play $5, get $50 instantly with my promo code and link KJKDFS for that as well. And if you're looking to get access to every single one of my plays as soon as I place them, just like this one, if you're tuning into this content and DJ Giddens has gotten bumped up, Blake Shapen's gotten bumped up, Kevin Coleman's gotten bumped up, Devin Neal, Desmond Reed, Ollie Gordon, etc. These guys, I really like these lines where they're set. There's a chance they get bumped up. That's just kind of part of the game. Once again, the Patreon will be where you can get access to it, so you don't have to worry about that. You get it sent to you right away. You can join the winning squad in the winner circle this weekend for NFL and college football. It is great to have football back, man. Pumped about it. So hopefully you can turn a nice 400 into 10,000 with this ticket and help everybody else on the channel and in my Discord. Everyone that's loyal to the KJK DFS content. We need some money. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell on your way at the door. Wishing you all the best of luck on your Prizepicks college football props. This week 2 action should be fun. We'll see you in the next one.